According to Mustapha Bandi, a Deputy Director of Operation and the President's Treasury, evidence should be any information be could do per Ghana Police Service Omo Kumasi. Na nina related to Wontumi. Inti Medube Realm, there's evidence here a Kumasi base force or Ensaka or Monobeka Yoku Amoma investigation over Tama. So Tama Wontumi or say a police force and you could see evidence across. Mustapha Bandi Treasury, a Kumasi, a police, a officers, no, I'm sure.
And I have said boldly that if for any reason I have to exercise the discretion to dip my hands into public funds, I don't expect any NDC member to join me at the police station. It's squarely my responsibility.
You know, the NPP have said that with regards to Chairman Wontumi's arrest, it's more of a witch hunt. Is that what it is?
That is, again, another irresponsible way of assessing the situation. Because quite apart from the fact that I'm sitting here as a national executive, don't forget Wontumi is a regional executive, so that our level of influences will not be the same. If you ask me to go for a loan at Exim Bank, I wouldn't go. I'll prefer to support a party person, an ordinary party person, to have that opportunity. Because the leverages I have, if I'm not being greedy, should be enough for me to cede some of those opportunities to party people. And say, go to Exim Bank, there's this opportunity, take it and you two go and develop something that you can make ends meet. Wontumi was mining, conducting same illegally. Look, the Ashanti region during transition, his quarry was involved in a lot of criminalities. After Ghanaians have experienced the tragedy of the explosion that happened, even in the week of transition, Wontumi's quarry trucks were carrying explosives in a tipper truck loaded with sand. All those records are with the police in Ashanti region. Nobody have spoken because it has never been conventional for successive or after or government should be going after political heads, persons who are occupying political offices. And then we sat in this country. You are a regional chairman. You went for a loan. And then you never executed what you had to execute. Now, the toughest evidence on Wontumi's atrocities was much more highlighted by the NPP themselves. If you remember, a press conference was held by, I think, constituency chairman or some groups in Ashanti region. And they were numbering the number of road contracts that their own party gave to him. He never executed but took the money. So
left to you, Mustapha Bandi, what should happen to Chairman Wontumi?
No, I mean, the right thing is what has been done. Look, even though...
But if you were the decision maker, what would you have said?
The best is what we are having today, and I support the way President Mahama has tamed the system, because much as we believe that there was wrongdoing, he has allowed the rule of law to dictate everyone's space.
Right.
And so if there was a perception that Mustapha has done something wrong, it was not for people to go and arrest Mustapha, handle him using invisible forces. And we have records of MPP, doing all kinds of wicked and atrocities against people. Some have died and all of that. We haven't gotten to those discussions. But Wontumi was properly arrested.
Properly?
Not malhandled. Put before an investigative body.
Once the NPP...
Don't forget that he drove, he was invited to, after their attempt to arrest him. They say
he was picked up in a Rambo style. Well,
I think that was the mildest form of arrest. Because when a man tells you that I control an Ashanti region, that when you, a former president, you are coming there, national security negotiate with me, you don't arrest such a person with 2 police officers.
Okay.
You have to take a full armory, including explosives, to pick him up.
Just because of what he said?
What, you said you are dangerous.
Okay.
Why should I envisage that you are not, when I don't know what is in your house? If you go there and he has a...
So in other words, he was arrested in that style because he had said...
There was no style.
He said.
There was no style. Look, people, national security through operatives tried to go to his house and invite him. All right? He was in there and shouting. Nobody broke. If I was there, I was outside the country at the time. would have broken into his house and gotten him out. But they didn't do that. What they
Thank God you were not there then.
Yes, if some of us were there, we would have, brought him out in the style that we want. Because he told you that he controls Ashanti region.
So if you don't mind me asking, what style do you want?
Say the what?
What style do you want?
I have been tamed by President Mahama. He kept me at the Jubilee House and I have been tamed. And so I believe in the style that we are using now.
But what style do you want, Mustapha?
I will not disclose it now. But I'm just saying, when the man says that a former president cannot come to my region without national security negotiating, you don't take 2 police officers to go and invite him.
He never said he was armed.
What?
He never said he was armed.
Nobody is armed. Dangerous people are not armed. Now, Wontumi walked himself to the police. He was granted a bail, right? And then subsequently other crimes came up and he was arrested in Accra, all right? Nobody beat him, nobody tortured him. So today, Wontumi have never come to say that anybody touched him whilst in custody. That was not same under the MPP. If they arrested somebody, they actually tortured the person at the BNI cells or with the CID and all of that. What?
Who told you?
I know that.
Who told you? Mention a name.
No, you would want to, we don't want to digress into all the negativities.
You mentioned Chairman Wontumi.
Yes.
You did say boldly.
If they arrested somebody...
Who told you? Mention a name.
No, you would want to, we don't want to digress into all the negativities.
You mentioned Chairman Wontumi.
Yes.
You did say boldly that
Yes.
Chairman Wontumi cannot say that he was tortured. Mention a name of who was arrested and was tortured.
I'm dealing with my relationship with the MPP. I deal with the issues as and when it's necessary. When we get to that conversation, including people who have lost their lives, we will discuss that in this country. But the timing is wrong. But I'm just saying that, so Wontumi was not manhandled. And when the MPP says it's witch hunting, it consolidates their irresponsibility because, one, I expected the MPP, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, to have first, stopped Wontumi from the number of disrespectful, disparaging insults he rained on President Mahama, to the extent that you tried to attack his domestic home. For me, nobody in the NDC would do that to His Excellency Nana Addo or Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. It just tells you the number of wise people in the MPP and the NDC as compared to the ones managing the MPP.
What's your role as the deputy director?
Let me tell you, the day I spoke about us being properly equipped to election, you remember the OKFM interview? Immediately I finished, my national chairman called me and said, hey, today you didn't speak well. I had to go back and then apologize. My general secretary, my boss, reprimanded me. Even though it was twisted by Asasi Radio, I had to go immediately apologize. The MPP enjoyed the things Wontumi said against President Mahama. The MPP benefited from it. That is why they never condemned it. So why are they today saying that anybody is witch hunting him? Nobody has touched him. Nobody has passed a verdict. Look, when he was granted bail and he hadn't met the bail condition, I have heard my brother, my boss, the general secretary of the MPP, saying that the bail condition, and that should not come from a deputy general secretary to talk of a general secretary making that statement.
Fantastic.
Who is himself a lawyer.
Thank you very much, Mustapha. Now, we want to know your role as deputy director for Mahama.
Well, my mother told me that it meant, should you do something bad to me today, remember that there's tomorrow.
So you don't forgive?
I do forgive, but I don't forget.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I
don't forgive people who deliberately disregard what concerns me.
They say names define you, so I'm guessing that...
I think my name does, yes. My name does. I'm very conscious about what people do to me. If I choose not to mind, it doesn't mean that I've forgotten about it.
Okay.
Sometimes the best fight is to ignore. So the fact that I ignore in itself is an action or a reaction.
But do you ever ignore?
Yeah, I do ignore.
Are you a Christian?
Very. I've said this to you before. I'm a Christian.
A staunch one.
Baptized, born again, Christian.
Where do you fellowship?
Action Chapel International.
That's nice. So you've been there for a long time.
Yes. I was the director of operations there.
Okay.
Yeah. Proud to exit. You know, I exited politics at some point.
Really?
Yeah. And
now, talking about that, let's start off with a journey, how you became a part of politics, or how politics became a part of you, how you exited, and how you came back.
Politics have always been part of me because it started right from school. And even before university, you know, I always said that I come from a poor home. Real poverty. That's where I come from. Okay. So the only defining moment of our upbringing was when the only gift our parents gave us was hard work. That's all we knew. If you go to our house, that's all we know. We don't have anybody. So hard work was what defined my growth. In the Polytechnic, Whole Polytechnic, I was a student leader. Very controversial one, of course. I mean, that you can't say my history without adding. Because I move with my own principles and perceptions to life. And I always want to be myself. I don't like to copy people.
Okay.
I don't follow crowd. I'm very unique in what I believe and what I stand for. It doesn't matter who agrees and who disagrees. What is in my mind, if I chose to air it out, I will, and I will do so without any shred of excuses. And so from school, I tried to be an MP, and I was told that I'm still young, I have to take my time. And then I ended up becoming the Deputy Volta Regional Secretary of the party, served under my lecturer, who was teaching me at the Polytechnic. And then from there, at some point, I had my own difficulties and challenges in life. I chose to bow a bit. But there was this call for us to bring President Mahama back. And for me, that call was not just for the NDC. It was also for us to bring back something that would define this country.
Okay.
And I believe that President Mahama was a victim of circumstances in his first term. I also do know that if you look at his period of being a vice president, and after President Mills left us, he led the country in a very united and stable manner. If you look at the industrial revolution, the infrastructure revolution, the foundation with which he governed the first time, he was a victim of politics. But posterity has judged him right. There was a need to bring him back to be that person that holds our party together. And so we committed. And so I came back to run for a Deputy General Secretary. By the grace of God, I became. I actually wanted to be in charge of operation.
Okay.
And when we won, my boss gave me that role. I remember when the national chairman called me and said, "Do you want to be administration or operation?" I said, "Chairman, you know that I can't be an administrative person."
You want to?
When you want to kill me, then put me in the office.
Okay.
I cannot stay at one place for 4 hours continuously. My DNA is not like that. Mine is to move around and make sure everybody is doing what they have to do. The NDC we met under the leadership and chairmanship of the national chairman, the general secretary, who is my boss, of course, was an NDC that was fragile. But we navigated through the complex corners of tolerance.
Now, if you say this, I have to poke a little bit.
Yeah.
You met a fragile NDC under which leadership?
Under, after the new set of executives that won the election took a party that was fragile.
Okay, from the old leadership.
From the old leadership.
Okay.
The remnants of what the old leadership was, what people within the NDC felt after we have been in opposition for 4 years.
Right.
what we experienced under President Akufo-Addo's leadership, the pain with which people were taken through. My former national chairman was framed, put before court. Proud to him, I've never seen a political, leader as a national chairman being taken through that kind of ordeal. We've seen immediately,
Were there reasons why he was put before court?
That somebody recorded him in a meeting.
Right.
And that was it.
A leaked audio.
Well,
alleged leak audio.
One cannot tell whether it's still a genuine audio or it was
an alleged leak.
Yeah, so we also immediately saw after the unfortunate demise of Honorable Ajako, and we had to go for a by-election in Ayawaso West. Well gone. No one ever envisaged the MPP visiting on us the kind of violence, the kind of attacks, brutalities, until Ayawaso West Wagon occurred, where our own brothers were trained, groomed. Some were trained in South Africa, trained how to kill and how to shoot.
Do you have evidence to that?
I know that, yes.
Do you have evidence that
I have evidence.
The
MPP knows.
To shoot
the
and
MPP,
kill? Well,
look, you see,
Mustapha Gbande's words.
The MPP knows that all the bad boys they control are our brothers.
So these are your words?
Yes, they are my words. They trained them, took some of them to the bush, trained them, and of course, the purpose was to tame NDC. Because the MPP's fear was that, we are, they call us veranda boys and girls. We are
Mustapha, we don't have proof to this.
I'm speaking.
Yes, you're speaking as Mustapha Gbande.
No, I'm speaking about it because
people to let us
I'm
know,
speaking about
for people to know that we, as multimedia, we don't have proof to what.
Yeah, of course. Okay. I'm saying that they trained our own brothers. I mean, for the purposes of hurting NDC people, and we experienced that. That was when everybody suddenly realized that our party was fragile.
Okay.
And so we led a party that was sticked together, managing the component of flag bearership, managing party as a secretariat, managing the structures below, and also managing the external stakeholders, people who are not executive but they are very political, managing people who believed with us. Are these complex, situations that require prudent leadership to be able to succeed? When what is happening in the MPP now is leadership deficiency. And if you look at the quality of persons leading the party now, you could tell that there's no way they can navigate out of complex situations except to bring in excuses.
How do you say this? They decided to have these people lead them. Now you are sitting on the opposite side and you are making judgments.
No, again, even if you compare the quality of leadership in terms of the structure of the NDC, and if you compare that...
Who is comparing? NDC?
I'm the one comparing.
You are the one comparing. So
yes.
These are your analysis. For the people in the NPP, these are their leaders. They elected and they placed them there.
That's where they are. Because, if the NDC... Look, when we lost 2016, our situation was far worse than it is. I could imagine how devastated President Mahama was in 2016.
You did say earlier that President Mahama was a victim
of circumstances.
Yes. Wasn't it because, at that time, Ghana was struggling? That is why he was voted out? Because at that time, looking at the votes that, the then President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo came into power with, of course, Ghanaians were struggling, and that's why they voted him into power.
Yeah, he had always come at a time there is some heightened level of expectation requiring that he resolves him. If you look at his moments of becoming president after late President Newz, we have navigated through 2008 and all of that, break the ceiling or solve those challenges.
Ghanaians believed it because...
You see, if you are developing a country with knee-jerk reactions to situations, that country never gets developed. And so to develop a nation from the foundation of a solid ground requires some forbearances and some sacrifices. If you don't lead from sincerity, transparency, and honesty to the people, regardless how they feel, then you'll be a victim of the outburst of emotions, and then eventually you fail. President Mahama came in after 2012 and decided that, look, he needed to lay bare an infrastructure revolution of this country. From road construction to hospital to industries, we have to build for this country. And he started. At a time, he could have chosen to do things that will please
the people,
other than...
Because the people complained.
Other than infrastructure.
And at that time, when the people were complaining,
yeah,
people said he didn't listen.
Exactly. Yeah, he didn't listen because President Mahama listens to every single thing anybody says and does. He's the most complex political leader I've ever studied.
Could it be that President
history.
Mahama has come back better as compared to then? Because at that time, people saw him in a different light. Now he's come back.
That is why you have a stable country today.
It's the first year.
2020, he did a magic for Ghana, but we didn't notice it.
What was the magic?
When it was perceived that the MPP rigged the election, for us who are typical party people, who could have gone in for the West, his leadership broke that ceiling to say, hey, if they say I didn't win, it was enough. It was a better decision because Ghanaians had the opportunity to experience the full scale of the deception of President Akufo-Addo and his government. If they had lost in 2020, their situation would not be as worse as it is today because you would not have a full appreciation of the deception. And even to have allowed them to be that corrupt that they demonstrated in the last 8 years. Again, he has come back, and after 6 months of winning power, when there is a backdrop of pain in the heart of Ghanaians against MPP, there are a lot of people who are hurt. There is a common call for revenge in the hearts of a lot of Ghanaians, from business community to professionals, including police officers, military officers, people who believe that they were treated unfairly. But this is the deal. President Mahama could have said, okay, go after all of them. But he says, no, we need to strike a nationalistic balance where we grow a society together. And for me, it is extraordinary for a leader to take that position. If you left me, would have gone all out to allow the MPP to experience what exactly they did against us.
What are the experiences you're talking about?
Where they used political influence to take people's businesses, destroy people's businesses.
So you would have, if
we should have given, we would have given them
after every NPP.
We would have business. We would have gotten not every MPP person's business, but anyone that used a wrong approach to get what they have. A wrong approach should be used to reverse it. That's how I think.
Okay.
All right?
Not those who are corrupt.
Including those who are corrupt. So a lot of people are not corrupt, but they are beneficiaries of the corrupt system.
So would you have seized their properties, like their houses?
President Mahama didn't allow us to do that because he's thinking about...
No, I mean, if it was to be you, Mustapha Gbandi, who were to be the president to make the decision, is that what you would have done?
It would have been tough.
Would have been tough.
Yes, because I don't think that the MPP should, not the MPP, the political parties are not hub for, like my national chairman said, for criminals.